just released, I think it was today or yesterday, the Browns, Andrew Berry coming out and saying that they're going to move on from John Johnson III. Are you surprised by that at all? I know there was a lot. Do you think his poor play was scheme related? Were we playing him out of position? I know a lot of people were talking, they didn't think he was putting in the effort. What did you think the issue was, why it didn't work out here?
I think it was a combination of things. I really wouldn't be surprised to see him pop up probably in LA and play well. I think the issue with him was he was signed to take a step in his career, right? To become a more true free safety. And that never really materialized for him in this system to where it wasn't what he did well, right? They didn't sign John Johnson to do what John Johnson did previously. They signed John Johnson as a projection of what they felt like he could do in the future. And he just wasn't as capable as they hoped he would be. And now they're in a position where, you know, if they're letting go of him, that tells me that they feel really good about Grant Delpit in his future with this team. So that means that they're going to be able to have him replace him for that. So it's just one of those things where it just didn't work out. I think John Johnson is a good player. It just didn't work out here. And, you know, you're only going to be as good as the role that you can fulfill. And when you're in a role that you can't fulfill, then you see stuff happen to where you're not as motivated to play. You're not giving as much effort on every play. And I think some of that showed up with John, where he didn't really believe in what he was being asked to do. He didn't think that was the best way for him to be used. He wasn't making plays. He wasn't feeling good. He wasn't the confidence wasn't there anymore. And when the confidence isn't there, the effort's not going to be the same. And then you just don't get the same level of play. So it was probably best for both sides. You know, if they didn't want John Johnson to go back to that role that's going to be similar to what Grant Delpit played, it makes sense for them to move on and for him to move on. So this makes sense. They're going to save money on the cap. Maybe some of that money gets put towards Jesse Bates. Maybe some of that money gets put towards somebody like Jordan Poyer. But the Browns also don't want two strong safeties right now. They want a free safety. So it's just kind of the way that things go. And I think it's working out for all sides here that it's coming out like this.
I think you kind of saw that from a lot of the guys on the Browns defense. It seemed, especially as we got into the season, it just seemed like they didn't really believe in what they were being asked to do. I think you kind of saw that from more than not just John Johnson.
Yeah, and then when you're just not playing good, even if you did believe what you were going to be, what you were asked to do, you stop believing. Like, you know, when you're giving up 300 yards on the ground to the Bills, like, you know, what am I supposed to believe in what I'm being asked to do, right? Jake Burns talks about this a lot, and I tend to agree with him. And he says, you know, we want to talk about like momentum a lot, right? And we talk about momentum as it comes out of thin air. No, momentum is just energy. And where does energy come from? Energy comes from execution. So when you're executing well, you have all the energy in the world, right? Like if you guys, like, I don't know if you guys play a lot of pickup basketball, but it's kind of like that with pickup basketball, right? Where it's like, if you stink and you're not making your shots, all of a sudden running down the court playing defense, like that seems like a big endeavor, right? Like that seems like a tiring thing to do. But then let's say if you're making your shots and let's say you set a screen and the guy follows the screen and he takes the cut there and then everything's executing well and you feel like you're a part of success and everybody, all of a sudden it's a breeze getting up and down the court. It's a breeze hustling and all that, right? Energy comes from execution. You'll see sloppy, unmotivated play from any football team that doesn't execute well. And when you are one of the worst defenses in the NFL, you're just not going to get great effort because nobody has energy because absolutely nobody is executing well. And honestly, I would be concerned if somebody had a bunch of energy and they weren't executing well because what do you think you're doing when you have this much energy? Right? Like, it's like with people made fun of Perrion because he did like the scream and yell when they gave up 15 yards, but he made a tackle downfield. It's like, okay. Like that's a part of like you can't just make up energy, right? You have to play well in order to manifest that. And they didn't play well. Nobody's going to believe what they're being asked to do. Like this has happened with qualified defensive coordinators, bad defensive coordinators. If you don't execute on the field for whatever reason it is, whether it be communication, whether it be because your players just don't fit the scheme or your players aren't executing the scheme right, you're just not going to get high commitment from the players on the field because human nature tells us, why would I work hard if I ain't working? Like, you know what I mean? Like that just is kind of how that is.
But No, I completely agree. It's like Justin on the basketball court. He's running around real fast.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any shots.
No shots. Can't make a shot. A very aggressive defender. You're not just gonna walk it up the court on me.
But you feel like you affected somebody, right?
I'm picking you up. I'm picking you up at the other free throw line, and you're still probably.
I'm like that too.
Yeah,
I'll get in front of somebody, and then when I run in front of somebody who can actually play basketball or is actually a good athlete, then I'm like, oh nah, I really ain't doing nothing.
Can I get
guess I'm just gonna stand on the other side and try to get it easy too. Like it just.